Welcome back to the BUBU DRESS YouTube channel. Today's class we'll learn how to make this beautiful short BUBU dress. Okay, it has patch pockets at the front and the hemline is carved like this, and then the sleeve area is gathered using elastic. If this is what you like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. To make this dress, you will need the measurements you need is your full length measurement. That's from your shoulder up to where you want your dress to stop, and in this case it's going to be around the knee area. It's a short dress, so for me I'm using 41 inches for my full length, including seam allowance. So it's actually 40 inches plus 1 inch seam allowance. And the measurement you need for this folding is your center back measurement. From your center back, you can see the backbone. So from your center back, you measure through your arm to where you want the dress to stop. Okay, so you just take the measurement from your center back all the way to that place, and I have around 24 inches for mine. So that is what I'm using to fold this. So 24 multiplied by 4. Remember, you fold 2. Remember, we measured from here to here, so that's 1, 2, and then you have for front 2 for front also. So you need to measure 24 by 4 to get the measurement that we use for that place. Okay, so to fold this, if you look at this BUBU dress very well, you notice that the front is not closed, it's open. So you can see the way I'm folding it. The open point here is the front, while the fold point is the back. And the front, because it's open, may need a button or press button or whatever it is to hold them in place together. So I'm having an extra 1 inch allowance before I start my center back, so that allowance is going to be serving as my allowance for the button or whatever it is that I intend to use later. So my fabric is folded now. This is by 24 inches and the length is by 41 inches, including seam allowance. So now the first thing I will do is to measure my neckline measurements, and to do this, from my center back here, I'm going to measure. So the one close there is the back, and this opened is the front, and I have 1 inch allowance. Please don't forget that. So here I'll be measuring my neckline, and for the neckline I'll be using around 3.5 inches for my width, and for the depth I'm going to be using around 1.5 or 1 inch for the back, and for the front I'll be using around 7 inches. So now I'll connect my back. Okay, and then my front is going to be in form of a V shape. So you may not want it too sharp. You can use a slightly curved part of your ruler to connect that. Okay, so I'm just redrawing my back off so that it can be neat. So after doing that, now I'll go to the end point of this now, and then I'm going to draw out my shoulder slant. So here I'm going to be measuring 2 inches or 2.5 inches for my shoulder slant, and then from there I'm going to connect it to my neck, to where my neckline stops, which is here. So now, using my ruler, I'm going to connect that together. Okay, it's very simple to make. So after connecting this, the next thing is for me to open my sleeve. So for my sleeve opening, remember there is a band there. You can use an elastic, or you just use your regular fabric for your band. So for the sleeve opening, I'll be opening it by around 10 to 12 inches depending on what you want. So I'll be opening this by around 12 inches for my sleeve opening. So from here to here is my sleeve opening, and I'll be gathering it using my actual measurement for the wrist, or wherever it is that I want to place, where I want my sleeve to stop. Okay, that's what I'll be using. Remember, this is quite wide, so 12, I use 12, which means it's going to be 24, because this is for both the front and back. So 24 will be too wide. By the time I gather it, it will fit, and then I'll have some puffiness around that place. So if you feel 12 is too much for you, you can do 10, 11, or even 9 inches. Okay, so after that, for my sleeve to be obvious, here I just want to come in by 1 inch so that it will be easier for me to gather, and then that 1 inch I'm going to take it down to the hemline. So by the time I cut it, I'll be able to see my sleeve opening very well, to not blend with the other part of the side seam. So after doing that, now the next thing is just the few modification that we have on the hem of this dress. So now we'll move to the hem. I hope you can see this. So for the hem, at the center front here, there's a slight V shape there. So for this V shape here, from the upper part here, I'll be going up by maybe 8 or 9 or 10 inches depending on what you want. So if I go up by 10 inches from the center, and all this modification is just on the front part. So you may decide, let's just decide to cut this off first so that we'll be left with our front, so that we won't make any mistake. Okay, so you can see that we've cut out the shape, we've cut out the neckline, and then you can see the 1 inch that we went in here just for us to see our sleeve opening better. So now before I remove the back, I want to also slant the side. Okay, I'm not just slanting the center, I'm also slanting the side. So for the side, I'll be slanting both the front and back together. And to do this, I'm just going to go upwards at this side by maybe around 5 inches or 4 inches, and then here I'll go inwards there by around 8 inches. Then I'm going to give it a very slight curve there. I just don't want it too sharp there. So you can see what I'm doing. I'll take my curve ruler and then I'll blend it in to give it a slight curve depending on what you want. So then now I'm going to cut this off. So for this, I'm cutting both the front and back together, and then I want to blend it in so that it can be smooth as much as possible. You can see what I have there. So now I'm going to remove the back so that I can work on the front. So the back is removed now. Now I can retrace my front neckline. Remember, the front neckline is 7 inches and it's a V-shaped neckline. So here I have 7 inches, and then using my ruler, I'm going to connect it like this, and then I can cut it out. So now let's quickly go over to the hem of the front also. So for the hem of the front, like I said, I'm going to be going upwards by 10 inches for just the front, and then here I'll go inwards by 5 inches. So from there now I'll take my curved ruler also, and then to give it a slightly curved effect around that side also, and then I'm going to trim it off. So with this now we are done with cutting. The next thing is for us to start sewing it. Okay, so all this that we are doing to the hemline is actually optional. If you don't want, you may decide to leave your neck hemline like that. So for the V-neck also, I'm going to cut off this V shape. So this is what we'll have for the front. It's just going to come and lap on each other. See the 1 inch allowance that we have there? It's just going to lap on each other like this. And then if you look at it very well, you'll see the shape that we have at the hem of the front. So this is the V, and then you can see the slightly curved shape that we have at the hem. So to sew it now, I'm just going to be folding the front. I'm going to be placing the front and back on each other like this. So sewing it is actually very simple. Right side facing right side, and then I'm going to join it together on the shoulder like this, and then I'm going to join it together on both sides, starting from where my sleeve opening stops. Okay, so from where my sleeve opening stops here, I'm going to sew it, and then I'll bring it back to show us what is next to do. Okay, so I've gone ahead to sew it on the shoulder, as you can see, and then I sew it also on the side seam, just like we have it here, and I just followed the shape that we have. So if you don't want it to have a side seam, it means you will not be going inwards by 1 inch. You're just going to be opening the sleeve opening. But I don't mind it having a side seam. That is why I did mine like that. So now the next thing to do is to run a gather stitch around the sleeve opening area, and then you gather it to your exact round sleeve measurement. Okay, so you just gather it. You can use this method of gathering, or you just gather it manually as you go. on your sewing machine. Okay, so I think it's here. So you're just going to be picking one strand and then you gather it, so you can see. So you keep gathering it like this till you have your exact round armhole measurement. So like I said, if you have a wide elastic, like maybe a 3 inches wide elastic, you can use it. If not, you can use a regular fabric. You will just not make it too tight so that the arm can go through it. So I have this stretchy fabric that I have. Is a bit stretchy, so that's what I'll be using. So I cut it. This is by 7 inches, so that by the time I fold it here and fold it here, it will go back to 6 inches. And then when I fold it into two, it will give me a band of 3 inches. And the width that I used for this is 10 inches. So I'm going to be gathering it to this side, then I'll use it to turn it, just like I've done for this side. Okay, see what I did for this side. I've already turned out this side. And also I'll be adding pockets to this. So for the pocket, I'm just going to measure, and the pocket is of course going to be at the front part. So I've added one of the pockets. This is the other one which I'll be adding to this side. So the length I used for my pocket is a length of 8.5 inches, and the width is around 8 inches or thereabout also. But of course you need to add allowance for folding it in. You can see that I folded it in, then I sew it round for it, and the upper part here I folded around 2 inches in, and then I sew it. So you're just going to be placing it where you want, and then you sew it round just for it to hold it in place for you, like what we have here. So the measurement that you will use for placing your sleeve should be around your hip line measurement, which is around 22-23 inches for this person. So you can make it higher or lower depending on what you're comfortable with, and then you just place it there. So now I'll place the second pocket now. Then after placing the second pocket, I'm going to gather the other sleeve to have something like this, and then you can decide to maybe put a button here or a press button, and you can actually leave it open and wear maybe a camisole inside depending on the style that you choose. And then you hem it on the hemline, and then you pipe the neckline with either a facing or a bias, and your dress is ready. Okay, so I'm gonna have to fix the two pockets, and as you can see, this is what it is looking like. So now this is the sleeve part of it, and like I said, you just need to pipe it on the neckline, and then you hem it here also, or you can just cut facing for it and then knit everything. So I'll take it to the mannequin so that we'll see what it looks like. So this is the BUBU dress. This is the neckline, and I just held this center front with pins. So you can decide to either put buttons or press button, or just leave it open like that. So these are the pockets that we added, as you can see, and this is the elastic gathering that we did to gather the sleeve so that it can be fitted on the sleeve area. And this is the hemline. So you can see the effects that we had on this hemline and on the sides also. It's really beautiful and simple to make. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you enjoyed this, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.